Welcome to my makeshift laundry room and my review of the Bosch Series 8 WTW 87560GB self-condensing tumble dryer. Bosch categorise their appliances as Classic, Series 2, 4, 6 and their top of the range line Series 8. That's what this one is, therefore it has all the bells and whistles that Bosch would like to include in it, and I would like to give you an honest pros and cons review about my feelings towards this tumble dryer. First of all, extremely well built. This is German manufactured, just like their washing machines and dishwashers, and you can certainly tell that in the quality of the build. The door is extremely secure, the hinge is very well attached. Internally, the tumble dryer can hold 9 kilograms of washing, which is a huge amount. I believe you can get 10 kilogram washing machines, but 9 is certainly up there at the level of large capacity. I have the matching Bosch washing machine, which is also 9 kilogram, and I find that I can pack that full, it will wash perfectly, I can take the whole lot out, bung it all in here, and again expect a perfect dry. It really is a well-built tumble dryer. If I switch it on, you will see that there's an internal light, just like on their washing machines and dishwashers. This is great for when you are fumbling around in the morning and you want to find that missing sock, which is somewhere in the back and you can't quite find it. The light is amazing for that, really useful. There's a filter and then a second filter, so it is really good at extracting all the small particles from your clothes. There is an Allergy Plus option, which I'll talk about later on, and you'll see why having 2 filters is really useful. If we close the machine, quick tour on the outside, you have the air inlet at the bottom for cooling the condenser. This is a self-condensing tumble dryer. It uses a heat pump technology, which if you Google you can find out all about. Basically, this is extremely economical to run. I checked it on my smart meter and I tumble dried the clothes that are in here now, and it came to about 18 pence, which for, I believe it was on for just over an hour and 50 minutes or so drying. That's amazing compared to my previous tumble dryer, which guzzled electricity like no business. And I think gone are the day where people would say to you, don't buy a tumble dryer, they use tons of electricity. That may have been true with, you know, the C-rated tumble dryers of the past. This is A+ rated, and I use it all the time. Even, I must admit, on the hot sunniest day when I should hang them outside, I still bung them in here and dry it. Running wise, it's not a problem. Okay, we'll have a closer look at the panel now and tell you a bit about the options that this tumble dryer has. It does have quite a range of tumble drying options. Some I use all the time, some I barely use at all. So here you have your end signal. I keep this off, but if you switch it on, basically when the program is finished, the tumble dryer will keep beeping at you to empty it. I switch it off because it gets quite annoying. There's a child lock. This doesn't lock the door, this only locks the control panel to stop people from changing it. It's a shame that the door doesn't lock, because that's probably a feature you'd expect from a top-end model, that the door would lock to stop anyone opening it and obviously touching hot clothing or putting things in that they shouldn't, for example. At the bottom you have drying time that you can adjust for the programs. Here it's set to iron dry, so when the program finishes you may feel like they're slightly not completely dry. That's on purpose. The idea is then you will take a hot iron to it and it will allow you to iron them much easier and take out creases and give a nice crisp finish. The one that I leave it on all the time is cupboard dry. So you can take it straight out the dryer and straight into your cupboard basically. And then finally there's an extra dry for cupboard setting. Tend to use that if you're perhaps maybe washing towels on the cotton setting instead of using the towel setting. I tend to use that, but I keep it on that one all the time. All of these programs, bar the last 2, the timed programs, are sensor controlled. So as soon as you switch it on, select a program, it will tell you how long it will take, and then as soon as you press start, the tumble dryer detects how damp the clothing is, and based on that, adjusts the time. What I tend to find is that it will always be shorter than it actually says on the screen. Unless you are cramming in loads of towels, then it tends to say that it's going to be longer. Okay, I'll stop that now. If you find that the sensor programs aren't quite dry as you would like, you can fine adjust. I'll just switch that off. You can fine adjust. So you can, as you can see here, the default time changes and it will just tumble it that little bit longer, just if you're finding that it's not always perfect. I found that I leave it on one sun because no suns, it tends to not be as dry as I'd like. This has a start timer, so here you can adjust. It's not as precise as, for example, the Bosch dishwasher that lets you change it down to the minute, but this does allow you to have "24 hours worth of delay," which is pretty amazing, especially if you have an energy, cheap energy in the evening, or you want it to start when you're at work so it's not noisy when you come back. There is a low heat setting. This is a pump condensing tumble dryer, and what I found is that it doesn't get as hot as my previous tumble dryer, which was just a normal bog standard tumble dryer, no fancy features. I found that the pump seems to keep the clothes, it dries the clothes quicker, more energy efficient, and it doesn't get as hot. However, if you really wanted to have a low heat, you can reduce the temperature just there. You then have two reduce iron settings. This basically means when the tumble dryer finishes, it will just keep tumbling and tumbling, not continuously, but every so often to keep the clothes from settling and therefore help reduce creases. I leave that off because when the tumble dryer finishes, you do get probably 10 minutes worth of it tumbling again anyway, so you then tend not to bother. I tend to take things out quicker than that. One of the Series 8 features of this tumble dryer is the self-condensing cleaner. Here, the tumble dryer collects all the water as you are drying and stores it at the top. You do have to empty that after every wash. During the drying cycle, what will happen is this light will light up, you'll hear a sort of whoosh of water, and the water is ejected through the tumble dryer, through the condenser at the bottom, and it basically cleans it of all the dust particles, and then that is then pumped back up into the wastewater dispenser for you to get rid of at the end. It's an amazing feature. Apparently, reading the manual, it will keep the self-condenser working flawlessly for the life of the unit, and it just results in more energy efficient tumble drying and better results. So really impressive. That is certainly obviously the main selling feature for buying this tumble dryer at the expense it is. So just very quickly, before I finish, on the control panel, I will just take you through the times. So we have cottons at 2 hours and 48, 1 hour and 7 minutes for easy care, mix load is 1 hour 25, delicates is 40 minutes, wool is 6 minutes. You then have the two timed programs where you can adjust how long you want them to run for. Going back to the top, you have shirts, which is 37 minutes, duvet, 1 hour 57, downwear, 3 hours 14, sportswear, 1 hour 35, towels, 1 hour 29, super quick, obviously 40, and then allergy plus at 3 hours and 8 minutes. Those are the options on this tumble dryer. All of the sensor programs, remember that is purely an estimate. It tends to be a little bit less than that. And also, don't worry that 3 hours is going to use a lot of electricity, because it probably doesn't as much as you think. This is a very energy efficient tumble dryer. To finish up, the pros of this machine. First of all, the big pro is the self-cleaning condenser. You don't have to worry about it. It keeps it highly energy efficient. It works really, really well. Second pro, you will be amazed how much water is extracted from your clothing. If you choose to, and if you're lucky, I can't here, but if you choose to, if your tumble dryer is next to your washing machine, you can actually, instead of having the water drain here and you have to take it out yourself, you can use the tube at the back and pop it into the drain pipe next to your washing machine, and then the water will drain straight away. So all you have to do is keep the filter clean. You must remember to clean the filter. Sometimes people forget that. The self-cleaning feature still works if you have it plumbed out, because basically this will fill up with water first, and then when it starts to overflow, technically, that will then go out through the drain. It always keeps this full so it can flush the system out as it needs to. Third pro, so impressed with how energy efficient this tumble dryer is. It works really well. It tends to dry quicker than my previous tumble dryer, and it also doesn't seem to get as hot as my previous tumble dryer, so I feel like it's caring for the clothes a bit better. Cons. One of my biggest bugs with this, I'm surprised it does not have a reverse tumble action. It simply tumbles one way continuously, which is pretty much fine most of the time. However, if you are drying, for example, super king size bedding, what I find, sometimes it doesn't always, it does it sometimes, it doesn't always, but it will just roll it into a big ball. And you will come back after it's been tumbling away for an hour, expecting to, take out your dry clothing, and instead find a self-compact cocoon of clothing, which you then have to prise apart in order to find that it's still damp, pop it back in again and start again. I don't know why it doesn't have a reverse tumble. I thought, it would be a standard on pretty much the cheapest tumble dryers. This being the top end model, maybe Bosch thought that it wouldn't be necessary because it's such a big drum, things don't tumble together anyway. But they do. It's so annoying when it happens. Also what I found is you can't use successfully the tumble dryer sheets that you may put in your dryer. What I find happens is they tumble for a little bit, and then halfway through they get sucked into the front part here where the filter is. The filter is quite a powerful suction, and it literally just captures all the bits there. So you end up putting in a dryer sheet, it tumbles around for 5 minutes, and then it gets stuck in the filter, and it doesn't actually do anything, because when you open at the end you find the dryer sheet is still like it is new. It's not actually done its job, which is a shame, because I used to like using tumble sheets. I don't bother anymore because they just get stuck in the front all the time. I've also noticed that occasionally, if I'm tumble drying, for example, swimming shorts that have got toggles on, sometimes the toggle will get caught in the small gap between the glass door and the filter, and then that will keep tumbling. Because it doesn't reverse tumble, it keeps going, it basically winds everything up, and you end up having, when you open the door, your clothes basically wrapped up in string from the toggles. One time it actually pulled a toggle out one of my swimming shorts, which was a pain. Apart from that, this is a fantastic tumble dryer. I highly recommend it. It is a bit pricey, but I believe that you are paying for the quality of build. The energy efficiency of this tumble dryer will pay for itself in the long run, because I wouldn't expect this to break for at least 10, 15 so years. I expect it to last, and I think it will. So far so good, no issues. So that's the end of my short review. Hopefully you found it informative. If you have any questions at all about this tumble dryer, I'm happy to answer them. If you write them in the bottom, I'll write a reply to you as soon as I possibly can. But if you're thinking about the Bosch Series 8 tumble dryer, or any Bosch tumble dryer probably, I would recommend them. They are a good brand and they work